Good evening, lovely tubers. White Mexican back in for another video for you guys today. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, so pre-warning. And today I just wanted to discuss the Catskill, New York regional that happened this past Saturday. I had the fortunate opportunity to go with two of my friends, and it was really fun. I wanted to break down, I did play Kashtira, of course, huge Kashtira fan. This is my deck list right here. This is going to be kind of a two-pronged approach. First, I'm going to go over my deck list and my build for the regional that happened on Saturday. And then I want to go into detail. I took very detailed notes of my matchups and some just basically kind of like the details of everyone that I played. And then I want to go into my new deck profile after reviewing the champion of the tournament. Was actually first place was captured by a fellow Kashtira player who was playing a pure variant. Really interesting build, and I revised my deck based slightly off of, very slightly in quotation marks, off of his build, because it was pretty inspiring that Kashtira was able to take the whole event, sack the event, which was really cool. So starting off for Saturday for the Catskill, New York, this was my deck list. Obviously my deck list is different. I actually just got back from locals here in Syracuse, New York, so my deck list is pretty different now. But for the regional event on Saturday, this was my deck list. And I apologize, I just have my sheet right here, so we're just going to review this to start off. So starting with the main deck monsters, I ran a playset of Ash Blossom, a playset of Shifter, playset of Fenrir, one Ogre, playset of Riseheart, playset of Unicorn, and one Scareclaw. For the Magic cards, I ran one Cosmic, which I definitely kind of missed having more. This was definitely a big risk, only running one. I kind of definitely felt it about halfway through the event, but one Cosmic, three-dimensional Fisher, that's kind of like my signature thing. I feel a lot of Kashtira players are really sleeping on the graveyard manipulation. Shifter is really good, but if you don't open it, having the offshoot of Fisher really helps the offset of not opening with Shifter. But again, I know not everyone's going to agree with that. That's just some white Mexican theory. I really am an avid fan of maining the three Fisher. One Gold Sarcophagus. I really like this card a lot. I ended up unfortunately having to cut it for this new build just because it got super tight with the new techie cards, but I do really like Gold Sarcophagus. Could see myself going back to it eventually, maybe later on. One Harpy's Feather Duster, three Kashtira Birth, three Theosis, three Pot of Prosperity, three Pressure Planet, and one Terraforming. For trap cards, I did run the three Infinite Impermanents, and I did main the one Rivalry of the Warlords. Now, obviously, when I ran Dice Roll, this was pretty awesome for certain matchups. I did play one Labyrinth player, I believe, and that was obviously not good because I'm pretty sure I did lose the Dice Roll, and I did open the Rivalry, which, going second, running traps, unless it's evenly matched or infinite impermanents. If you can't use them right away, it's definitely slow, definitely disadvantaged. So I kind of regretted it on that matchup, but all the other matchups, it was relatively good. I did switch it to the side, though. So the event I was running one in the main, but I did end up switching it with a new build that I'm going to showcase for you guys tonight. I did switch it to the side. For the side deck, I sided very heavily against Labyrinth and Branded. I personally have a hard time against Labyrinth and Branded on the local level, so going into this regional on Saturday, I was very much of the mindset of determined to beat any Branded or Labyrinth player that I met. Unfortunately, I only ran into one Branded player, which I did win against, and then one Labyrinth player, which I actually lost to, and that was completely 100% my fault. I misplayed, and I just made a really stupid mistake, and we also went to time, so it was kind of like a double slam for that one. But for side deck, two Bestial Druid Worm, one Bestial Magma Hut, two Dimensional Barrier, three Evenly Matched, three Lava Golem. That's like my signature thing. Like, you're almost little to never find any deck that I play that I don't cop a playset of Evenly Matched and Lava Golem. Those are just the most blowout going second cards ever, in my personal opinion. I know some people are taking in set rotation to kind of offshoot against Evenly Matched, which kind of blows. But other than that, three Evenly Matched, three Lava Golem was always pretty staple for white Mexican theory for me personally. Two Lightning Storms, and two Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which is definitely took the Labyrinth player and the branded player. That's pretty much why I was able to do so well. Again, if it wasn't for that one misplay against the Labyrinth player, it would have been different, but I completely take 100% responsibility for that, and I'll get into that in more detail later on in this video. For the extra deck, I ran 1 Baron, 1 Dark Arm, the Dragon of Annihilation. I'm sorry, 1 Baron, 3 Dark Arm, the Dragon of Annihilation. Yes, 3. This card is completely ridiculous, and a lot of people only run this card, but I don't really believe in that. I think this card is completely blowout. I think it's best at 3, maybe even 2, but more specifically 3, just because it's just really insane. 1 Zeus, 3 Shangira. I did run 3 Shangira. I cut it down to 2 with the new build, but that's just because there's some other cool extra deck cards that I wanted to add, which are really nice to kind of diversify the extra deck. 3 Big Eye, 2 Red Eyes, Flare Metal Dragon. This card is so good. I really missed the 3rd one, but 2 worked, and I am still currently running 2, as you guys will see. 1 Little Knight, and 1 Typhon. So that was my list for the Catskill Regional this past Saturday. I think there was like, I don't even know, maybe almost like, it seemed like there was like almost 500 people there. Really cool shop, relatively big shop, but it was just insanely overcrowded. They overbooked by X amount of players, so it was like really hard to get around, and like they started like I think like 2 hours, 2.5 hours late, and me and my buddies we had registered online, already paid, already had digital deck lists, already had the registration slips filled out, and we still had to wait an hour in line just to check in after getting there, which was really unfortunate. We also drove down the night before. Me and my buddies secured a hotel, and we drove down the night before, that Friday night, and then we ended up just staying the night and then getting up that Saturday morning. And the hotel was only 20 minutes from the event placing, so that was really nice. I'd never really done that before, but that was really good. That was nice to have that extra time. So that was for the regional on Saturday. Moving on to the matchup. So really quick, I'm just going to break down what my rounds were. So there was a total of 9 rounds. Me and my 2 buddies that I went with, we only ended up playing until the end of the 7th round, just because we were like super hungry, and that's like another thing. Like, we were totally unprepared. Even though we did stay the night before in a hotel, and we had a really big breakfast, we did travel relatively late. It took us about 3 hours to drive from Syracuse, New York to Catskill, New York. And it was already almost like 8:30 at night by the time we even started to leave to drive the 3 hours. We got to the hotel close to around midnight, 11:30 midnight, so or whatever, and then we just stayed up way too late. It was fun. I mean, you're with your bros, you're having a good time, you're laughing, you're joking around, you're play testing. It was really fun. I don't regret that part of the trip by any means, but we definitely stayed up way too late. We ended up staying up until probably like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then we ended up getting up at 8 to have an hour to eat breakfast, shower, do a whole morning routine, clear the hotel, drive the 20 minutes to the event, and then, go to compete at 10 was when it was supposed to start. It didn't start until like 12 or 12:30 or something like that, but it was supposed to start at 10, so that was kind of the idea behind that. Everything was back-to-back. It was very rushed. There wasn't enough staff there. Again, they were overbooked. They started late. It took forever to check in, even after like completing everything like online. Which made it a lot more strenuous than it should have been. Overall, it was an amazing event. I had a really good time. My friends had a really good time. Definitely don't regret going by any means. Like, very thankful I had the opportunity to attend the event. It was really cool. But those kind of like made it a little bit more difficult. But so we didn't bring food, and that was the thing. Like, I wish that we would have known that we really wouldn't have any kind of like lunch break or any kind of time really behind rounds. Especially like me, I usually almost go to like time almost like every game. Like, it's just kind of my play style. I'm not really sure. It made me think too much, but there was just really no time. So for 7 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh, I had like I brought a water bottle, but like I drank my whole water bottle by the end of like round 2 or round 1. So there was pretty much 7 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh. I didn't have any food, didn't have any water, and again, we got here like right before 10:00 in the morning on Saturday, and we didn't leave. Round 7 ended, and we ended up getting like our stuff together and leaving like maybe around like close to like 8:30 at night. So there was several hours of just like going from match to match to match to match. Low sleep intake, no food since breakfast, and barely like any water intake. So that made it a lot more strenuous. That was more specifically my fault because I wasn't prepared and I wasn't really thinking about that. That's definitely something that I'm going to consider in the future for these longer events because that's so critical. Your nutrition intake, your sleep intake, and just like your overall stress level in general and your processing is like really important. And you know, starting late and just going round after round after round, and then like it was just like the bathrooms were super crowded, so like I like to wash my hands every time, like after each round. I just like I'm super like clean freak. I like to be clean. I like to have clean mat, clean sleeves, clean hands. So and there was like it was just kind of crazy. Again, there were just so many people in such a small place, and it just made it a little bit difficult, but again, all around really cool stuff. But enough about that. So the matches again. So I already showed you the deck list. I was playing Kashtira Pure per se. It was kind of like my own little version of it. But round one, it was a draw. So the result was a draw. Round one, we went into. I played against a Fire King Snake Eyes build, and I believe I won dice roll. I took game one. I think he took game two, and then we had like barely any time left for game three. We went right into game three, and I think I got a turn. He got a turn, but he couldn't hit me for any damage. We ran out of time on his turn, so essentially we just drew at game three. So that was the first Snake Eyes Fire King. Round two was my first official loss. That was against a separate Fire King Snake Eyes, and I specifically lost that. That was also, we went to game three as well. I don't remember if I took the first game or the second game, but we ended up going to game three, and we didn't go to time on that one. He beat me fair and square for sure. It was my own fault because I had a set imperm, and he went for a cream play, and he ended up popping it. But I could have, before the whole cream play and all that, I could have used it to negate his Ash. He had, whatever, the Snake Eyes Ash, and he went to go for the search, and I didn't use the set imperm to negate the search, and then he searched, he did, like, the Ash, and then he got into, like, Ponix, and he did all this stuff, and ended up, like, recurring, like, 3 or 4 recursions, and he just gained rage 20 resources, and then he finally went into the Kareen play, and then I also didn't know that you couldn't chain to the Kareen destruction effect because some weird ruling that I didn't really understand, and I'm just not super good at rulings. But that was definitely a life lesson. That was a learning moment for me. So that was a loss against that round two, the Snake Eyes, the second Snake Eyes Fire King. Round three was also unfortunately a loss against Labyrinth, the only Labyrinth player that I played, and that was 2 games. And the first game was like extremely, extremely, extremely grindy. Like we literally, I think we went into like I had like a 40-minute game one. It was insanely long. And the reason why it was so long is because he hit me with, I had a full board. He hit me with that card that like basically Book of Moons everything, that trap card that sets everything. And then basically I flipped all my stuff back up, and I like, just kind of maneuvered the board, and then I reset my board. And then he basically used rollback to do it again. So he like flipped my whole board twice face down. That, amongst other things, was just like what caused it to be just take forever. It was like literally like a 40-minute or something, a damn near 40-minute game one. So that was pretty much the whole match's time. And then in the second game, I had misplayed because obviously like I lost game one, and I went first, and I did my side-ins for against Lab, and I had opened up like the Bestials and Lightning Storm and the Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors that I was teching in. But I made the most colossal misplay, and that was I had the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror face up, and like I had the control of the board, and for some reason, I don't know if I was rushing or I just wasn't thinking, I was just being super slow. I went into Dark Arm Annihilation, which is a dark, so obviously I can't use its effect under my own Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, and I really just got stuck on that, and I was going into it to have spot removal, and I was just dumb. I was just not thinking, and it was just like the most colossal misplay of the entire event. It was really, really embarrassing internally, and that pretty much cost me the match because he had taken game one. We had literally like a 5-minute game two, and then I couldn't hit him for damage. I couldn't use my dark effects or anything, and it was just really, really silly. So we ran out of time, and obviously he had the game one, and I didn't have a game win at all. So he took the match for the round two. Or I'm sorry, that was round three. And then round four was yet another draw. So I had a draw Round 1 was a draw, round 2 was a loss, round 3 was a loss, round 4 was a draw, and that was against Trap Tricks, and that was like super, super silly because this was like my own fault as well, because I literally, that was a game 3, went to game 3 as well in that one, and I didn't say battle phase before we ran out of time. I wasn't paying attention to the time. I knew that we had like less than a minute left, and I literally had 4 or 5 bodies on. He had 1 card left, and I had Fenrir and everything, so I was going to hit for like probably like 5 or 7k damage. All I needed to do was declare the phase, go into battle phase, but the time ran out before I said battle phase, and I knew that I was running short on time, and I don't really know exactly what happened, like me just being tired, me just being hungry, me just being frustrated about starting late. I don't really know, like I just didn't, and we ran out of time, and we ended up drawing, even though I was in complete control, and I literally just needed to say battle phase, and I would have been fine. I would have been able to finish the phase, hit him for damage, and I would have taken the whole entire match, but I didn't. We ran out of time, and then we ended up tying, so that was really lame, but, you know, the rules are the rules, and it kind of just, it is what it is. Next time, I just need to be quicker with my phases. Round 5 was against a branded Despia Dragoon, and unfortunately, that was my only full-on solid W. That was my only match win. We did go to, was it 3 games? Yeah, I guess we did go to 3 games. I took the first game, second game, he went first. He ended up getting a Dragoon on board, and I just had a really hard time with the Dragoon. It didn't draw into the sides that I needed, so he ended up taking the second game with his Dragoon, because it was like a branded Despia Dragoon Turbo kind of style. But Game 3 was completely just, you know, everything was in my favor. Again, I sided very, very heavily against Labyrinth and Branded for this regional, so it was fine, and I ended up, you know, quickly taking Game 3. And then we moved on to round 6, and that was just a complete blowout, utter failure. I did 2-0 against Sky Striker, which was, you know, very surprising. I mean, no disrespect to the deck. It's a really good deck. I just didn't really draw that well, and again, it's been forever since I played against Sky Striker, so like, I kind of forgot about like certain ins and out of it, but I just got swooped. I just got completely swooped, 2-0. Didn't even go to game 3 against the Sky Striker player, so that was probably the worst match for me personally. Yeah, I don't really have too much notes about that one. And then the last round, again, there was 9 rounds total in the regional, but I only did 7. And the final round that I had was against a Gold Pride Punk Synchro Punisher Turbo, and that was also a draw as well. And that was also my fault, because game 1, he basically just sat on the Punisher, and the Punisher was like 9+K. It was a giant Punisher, and I just couldn't get around it. I didn't have anything big enough to run over it, and it couldn't be targeted or anything like that. And I basically just sat forever for like 20 turns. I had, I think, 2 or 3 Shangiras, and then I just kept on, I had Birth, and I kept on using Birth to just like special summon back bodies and defense after he would attack one by one. So I let game 1 go way too long, completely just like kicked his shit in game 2, and then game 3 we just like, we literally had like little to no time, and we were both at 8k, and we basically just drew in time. So all in all, the final results was 1 win, 3 losses, and 3 draws for a total of 7 rounds. Again, the last 2 rounds that we didn't play, we left early because we were just like dying. So I learned a lot though, and I'm really happy that 1, I had the opportunity to go, and 2, you know, that I had friends to go with and everything. Going with friends makes it so much of a more positive experience. But I was really happy that I really recorded this. Normally when I go to these bigger echelons of competitive play, I don't document in detail, but this time I did, and I definitely see myself doing that more in the future, because that was, I don't know, it was just super good, and it felt really good to kind of have this research to call back on. So that was the Catskill Regional last Saturday. Okay, so going on to today. So I reviewed the championship. Cash, as you all probably know, there was a Castira player, fellow Castira player that got first place. He had some really interesting ideas, so this is my kind of white Mexican augmented theory based slightly off of his build, his winning build. I did go to locals tonight. It was a very, very small casual locals. I think we only had like 8 players or something like that, if that, 8 or 7, I can't remember. Very, 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 very small. The smallest locals that we have here in Syracuse, New York. I did take first place with this build that I'm going to show you, and I also have my prize support here as well for first place tonight for this little tiny low casual locals. I got 4, well technically I got 5 because 1 for entry. It was $5 entry, you know, you always get OTS, but for winning first place I got 4 additional OTS 23s, and I got 3 obviously first edition Age of Overlords. So pretty happy about that. I'm going to open up these on camera for you guys after I do the deck profile. So getting into the deck profile tonight that I did get first place with here in this little mini locals, main deck monsters was 1 Ogre, 1 Scareclaw, a playset of Riceheart, a playset of Fenrir, a playset of Unicorn, a playset of Ash Blossom, and of course, a very nice shiny playset of Shifter. This is kind of where it gets a little crazy. So, magic cards. Again, as you can kind of see, highly inspired by the winner of the regionals here, but a little augmented. He ran 3 Raigeki. I actually, these are like the magic stamped LOB original Raigekis. I love these. They're unlimited. I would never play with first edition copies. Those are just like way too collectible, but unlimited, like mod player worse is fine just because I like the magic stamps, the original print. But he played 3 Raigeki. I have 4 more of these original print magic stacks coming in mail, so I just opted to play 2 and 1. Also, it's not really because like Iblilock is really like popular anymore. It's just I wanted to have a little bit more versatility and flexibility, and just kind of I wanted to have the option if I needed to clear my board to, you know, special summon a Fenrir, or special summon a Unicorn or an Ogre or whatever, or have that, you know, that clear board so I could open up to do my special summons from hand. That's why I ran the 1 Dark Hole, but honestly, I think when my 4 other Super Raigekis come, I'm just going to I'm considering about just, you know, copycatting and just running 3 Raigeki. But right now, it was fine. It was perfectly fine running 2 and 1. They essentially kind of work in the same operation. So that worked out really, really well. The single duster, single terraforming, single triple T, 1 cosmic cyclone. So he was running two cosmics in the main, and then I think 1 in the side. I am running 1 main and I believe 1 in the side, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll check my extra deck in here. I can't remember specifically, but 1 cosmic mained, 1 called by. Again, white Mexican theory, I really like triple dimensional Fisher. I don't believe that Shifter is enough. Obviously, this isn't great against all matchups, but for a big chunk of the current Yu-Gi-Oh meta here in January 2023, this just works wonders. This stops Valor, this stops Droll, this stops Crow. There's so many interactions that this just completely cuts off. The Horus engine, if you're going first, Tier Element, Dark World, it's just so blowout. I feel a lot of Castira players really sleep on this and really don't believe in this and just kind of brush this off as just some rando floodgate. This is really, really good, and I will stand by this card, and I will continue to stand by this card for quite some time because I just believe in it that much, and that's just my personal preference. 3 Prosperity, 3 Planet, 3 Theosis, and of course 3 Birth. So that was it. He ran 1 Preparations in his. I actually ended up cutting the Preparations. I wanted to play it, but again, like, I play a lot of, we all kind of play a lot of 3-ofs. But ultimately, it came down to space, and I little to never, I hate running anything more than a 40-card main. I really like the consistency. I really like to have small decks. So there was no way that I could fit all the cards that I wanted to fit in and fit all the, like, you know, interesting tech choices that he fit in the 40-card main. One thing that was really cool that I really liked is he didn't run Imperm. And the reason behind that is he basically, instead of running Imperm, he used the 3 Raigekis as the substitutes for his Imperm. And I think he said something about, like, why negate one thing one time when you can just blow out a whole entire field. And these cards are, like, really pretty good against pretty much anything that is, you know, anything that you're like any kind of board for the most part, unless they have like, you know, 3 negates, you can blow them out, which was really cool theory, which I definitely adopted, and I cut the imperms and ended up putting in the 2 Raigeki and the 1 Dark Hole, which I really like a lot. Wanted to put in the Monster Reborn. I thought it was really cool, really ballsy that he put in the Monster Reborn, but again, I play 3-dimensional Fissure and 3 Shifter, just like every other Cashier player, so that was another reason why I wanted to play the prep too, but again, he had the prep mained, and even though we have the same monster lineup, I hate opening traps I can't use right away, especially when I lose the dice roll. So I thought that was really risky. Again, but the Monster Reborn, I really like the Monster Reborn, but again, with my removal control, like it was too likely that it would be a dead card. So I ended up not running the prep and not running the Monster Reborn for those reasons specifically. Again, 3 Lava Golem. This, like, almost little to never changes. Like, this is, like, just like Evenly Match, is by far my all-time favorite going second cards. These, for the most part, unless they set rotation you, like, you're going to be able to blow out with this. And, of course, we have the luxury of running 3 Prosperity in this, so there's a really good chance that you'll be able to get at least one of the 6 of these with a 6 Prosperity. So, really, really cool. Again, this was really unique. I mean, well, the Solemn Judgment is really unique. Cash players have been using Solemn Judgment to stop, like, blowouts, board breakers forever. But what was really cool was the Solemn Scolding. I really didn't think about this, and I really liked the theory that he had behind the 3-in-1. So I adapted it in the side deck, and I think it's pretty cool. In order to fit this was the biggest change. I was always running these 6, but this was the biggest change to the side deck, the 3-in-1. So I did have to make some minor cuts. I did cut Shadow Imprisoning from 2 to 1, and I did cut, which at a very painful cost. I really didn't want to do this, but I cut for D-Barrier. I was running 3, and then I cut down to 2, and then to make space for this new variant, I ended up cutting it to 1, which is really, really high risk, but again, I like to have versatility. I'm kind of going for a broader side, so 1-1, and then, of course, the 1 of. Again, this went back to the side just because it's not good against all matchups. Some matchups it's amazing. Other matchups, specifically like Labyrinth, it's just completely dead. And if you lose a dice roll, I really hated opening this, losing the dice roll. There's the second Cosmic. I really like the idea of having 3. I'm thinking maybe like 1 in the main, 2 in the side, but right now there's 1 in the main, 1 in the side, because I am running the single copy of Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster is in the main, and it has to be enough. It's the extra deck, and the side deck and the main deck are just so tight. So that is the side deck, and there's not too many changes for the extra deck. The only changes outside from my previous build from the regional was I did adapt the BLS Link Monster. I've always really liked this, and I actually thought about writing this like quite some long time ago, but it didn't really solidify in my mind. I kind of forgot about it until the deck profile of the champion, and he reviewed that he used this, and I really was like, oh yeah, I like that card. I wanted to run it, and I just never really thought about running it, and I actually never followed through. But I followed through. I didn't get to use it tonight, but it was really nice just to have that option, to have that security of that being an extra deck. I don't have Draco Sack. I want to run Draco Sack on my online build. I do have one of the Big Eyes swapped out for a Draco Sack, a single Draco Sack, but I wanted the original first edition Secrets, so that's coming in the mail, so I don't have it right now. So for right now, it's just the 1 Baron, the 1 SP, the 1 BLS Link, Typhon, 1 Zeus. This is literally like 99.9% prosperity fodder. I really never. I mean, I just prosperity it away before I even get the opportunity to use it. I don't know if that's just like me. I don't know if other cash players feel like that. It's definitely a really good card, but if anything, I feel like this is probably like the biggest cut on the chopping list, just because it's literally always just fodder, cannon fodder for prosperity. Kind of like Baron too. Baron is always like little to like, I mean, almost always fodder for prosperity too. But anyway, the 3 Dark Arms, I absolutely love this card. This card is so good. It does target, unfortunately, like many things, but this card is super good. I think people really sleep on this card. This can like this just works wonders. And maybe I'm just some crazy white Mexican kid, but I really believe in this card. So I run it at 3. I do run Big Eye. Again, this is going to be at 2. I was running at 3, but I'm cutting one of them for the versatility of putting in 1 Draco Sack, just in case you run into a skill drain or some other shenanigans and need some random spot removal. The 2 Red Eyes, I do at times miss the 3rd one, but again, I'm trying to diversify the extra deck and just have a little bit more range, so 2 has been working. 1 usually almost always becomes prosperity fodder, but, you know, that's fine because we have the other one. And then I cut Shang to 2 to make room for the BLS link. So that is the extra deck. That is all I have for you guys. Again, I was able to cop first place tonight, which was pretty cool for that small little locals. And then the last thing that I have for you guys is the first place prize support. We got 3 Age of Overlord, and we got 4 OTS packs. So let's just go ahead and we'll see what we can get here for this prizing. So we got to pull the rug. I've been selling these like crazy on TCG Player. They're a couple bones, so that's just going to go instantly online to be slaying the TCGP. We have TG something something uselessness. This looks like another pull the rug. Another pull the rug, some more fodder for TCG Player. And the final OTS 23 is some more TG Star Guardian Kaka. Alright, now we're on to some heavy hitters. Age of Overlord, some pretty heavy hitters in this set, so let's see what we can get here. We got Synchro Super Uselessness. Another Super Uselessness. And for the final pack, we got some more useless supersness. So really terrible pulls, but all around really cool to cop first place. Again, I really believe in this deck. I'm so excited that Kashtira is starting to get momentum again, and people are starting to catch on that it is not dead. It is a powerhouse deck in the right hands and the right pilot. With a little luck and some smart plays, you can go a really far way. That is all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a showcasing by Autumn's Allure. My name is the White Mexican, and I will see you in the next video.